a lot of people are new to crypto. They're new to Coinbase, so they probably haven't seen these before. But for folks that have been around a little while, they've seen a few, and they all follow a similar pattern. The thing is, I actually feel like we're better situated through this cycle than we've ever been in the past, both because of the strength of the balance sheet, the number of products that are actually working now in crypto. It's not just a speculative asset class anymore. That was in the early crypto cycles, it was largely speculation driving it, but now there's more and more use cases that people have, like DeFi and NFTs and DAOs and social and identity, and like all these things are starting to be used more and more.
Hello crypto lovers, welcome back to Crypto Studio 247, where we regularly bring you expert views and opinions about the latest cryptocurrency updates. Do yourself a huge favor and watch this video until the end to not miss out on any important information. To learn about all the latest crypto trends. If Crypto Alpha is what you love, please subscribe to our channel and turn on the bell notification.
So my guess is that the cycles will get a little less dramatic over time. From like the percentage drop from peak to trough has been 85% like in the previous cycles. I think we're at like maybe 55% or something dropped now from the peak this one, but I'm guessing it may be a little bit more moderated than previous ones. That's just a guess. Two theories on this. So one is that so there are more use cases now than just speculative trading, right? Like, and things like NFTs are still being used, and so anyway, the use cases are there. The other reason is that in prior crypto cycles, at the end of the cycle, the up cycle, we saw prices like kind of go vertical for a little bit, and then they crashed down. And that didn't really happen in this cycle. I think probably because the broader macro environment went down, like the broader economy went down, and I guess people were treating crypto like a tech growth stock or something, and so it got sold off similarly. Whereas frankly, I thought they were going to be treating crypto as more like an inflation hedge a little bit, but I guess we're not at the scale yet where that's quite true. So maybe we need to do another 5-10x from here. But anyway, we didn't see that price go vertical right at the end. So it may be less than an 85% drop peak to trough. But look, this is all a guess. None of this is an investment advice, and who knows? I could be completely wrong. But that's just one thought I've had. There's more holders today than there were like 3 years ago, and there's going to be more holders 3 years from now, probably, right, than there are today. So it's hard to imagine we're sitting here in 10 years and there's fewer people using cryptocurrency. It's just like, nobody really knows what's going to happen in the next year or quarter or whatever, but like the long-term trend, I think, is pretty clear. People sort of assume like an up cycle is good and a down cycle is bad, or a downward, moment, but it's not really true in my case. The up cycles, look, they're nice in the sense that they bring a lot of new people into crypto. It creates a lot of buzz, a lot of marketing out there. The downside is you're just basically constantly focused on scaling. People sometimes have like doom and gloom. They over rotate on like the downside. They get distracted, whatever. But the benefit of it is that for companies who don't do those things, like Coinbase in past cycles, we tend to get more time to focus on doing innovative stuff, building the future of products. We actually tend to pull ahead because like sometimes competitors pivot and they go do other things. And we try to just stay focused, and it's a good moment to like run a leaner, healthier company as well, in a sense. Like, every company accumulates unnecessary things that either you're paying way too much for some vendor you don't need, or like you have way too many headcount on one project and you kind of reallocate that. So yeah, those are all examples of things that are beneficial in down cycles. And for me, I find the arguments in the book to be quite compelling. And people always have to distinguish, I think, between what you want to be true and what is actually true. Those are very different things, and people cloud their thinking on that. So even though I don't want it to be true, I do think the U.S. is probably in decline. China is on the rise, which is not necessarily a bad thing. Again, I'm a citizen of the world. I think innovations from every country are good for Team Human, if you think more broadly, right? So anyway, long story short, I'm not confident of any of this. I just think I'm finding his arguments to be more compelling than others. I'm hoping we have more conversations on this, but one alternative to the U.S. decline and China's rise is because that's, to me, is still a very country-centric view of the world. It's one country has to be the new world order. But I think things may be a little different this time, which is that we have a new global gold standard that's been introduced with Bitcoin. And look, there's only 200 million people in the world or so who have tried crypto at this point. That's a lot, but it's not it's nowhere near maybe the influence of the dollar or something like that. So I think most people in the world would consider this to be a crazy thing to say or a contrarian view or whatever. But I think there is some chance that the Bitcoin becomes the new global reserve currency, right? The new gold standard. And what Dahlia makes this point in a very compelling way in his book, which is that every fiat currency historically starts off connected to some kind of hard commodity like gold or something. But every single one of these fiat currencies in history, I think there's been thousands of them, they eventually, break the peg with the hard commodity underneath, and then they eventually inflate it away. And then there becomes a new world order. And it seems to be this unchangeable law or something like that, because basically the political consequences of having austerity are too high. Nobody wants to do it. And so the expedient thing to do is always basically to print. I hate to criticize without providing solutions. So I don't mean that as like a negative attack on any particular person or group or whatever. I always want to be part of the solution. But my overall thesis, I think, is that crypto represents a really compelling alternative for the West and Western values to basically embrace decentralization as the new world order, because otherwise the Chinese yuan may become the new reserve currency of the world. And if I think China's doing many good things, but they're also not aligned with our values. When I say our, I mean like U.S. Western liberal values. And so it may be actually beneficial to have a decentralized West to compete with a centralized East, and that could be the new world order. You could call it a U.S. world order, but it's really going to be more of a crypto as a transnational reserve currency order. I thought we were closer than we were, to be honest. In this last cycle, in the last run-up of crypto, we heard a lot of people, institutions, whatnot, were adopting crypto, putting it on their balance sheet, and they were telling us, we think inflation's coming, and this is kind of an inflation hedge. And I basically was of the opinion that if there is a broader economic downturn, that people may move to crypto even more, because the inflation in the U.S. dollar, for instance, is starting to get quite scary, and probably even worse with other fiat currencies. I was wrong. I was a little bit surprised actually to see crypto correct down, and I guess it was still being treated more like a growth tech stock than a inflation hedge. So then the question is, how big does it need to get to actually start to fill that role? We're at about 200 million people globally who've tried crypto. A lot of institutions are starting to hold crypto assets, but I don't think it's. I think we have some. I'm guessing now, it's probably something like maybe a 5 or 10x, and we're going to start to see it as more playing that role. Like if you got to 1 billion people in the world who had used crypto, that starts to feel like it's now material, and people may actually start to flee towards it in times of uncertainty, as opposed to just treating it as another source of uncertainty.
Thanks for watching. Until next time, smash up the like button, leave a comment below, and we'll see you tomorrow, friends.